This is your weekend market review for Sunday, July 14th, 2024. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your weekend market review for Sunday, July 14th, 2024. Hopefully you're having a great long weekend, enjoying yourself. Yeah, crazy weekend. Saw former President Trump almost assassinated. We'll talk about that. We got a lot of economic data coming up this week. We have the start of real earnings going on. A lot to dig into. So grab yourself a coffee, get comfortable, and let's go. All right, so if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link in the description below. So we know earnings really start this week. You got BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, the open on Monday morning, more banks Tuesday. You got Taiwan Semi Netflix on Thursday. You got some Dow names sprinkled in because the week goes on. We know we also have retail sales on Tuesday, NHAB, which is the National Association of Housing Home Builders Index, which again, it's coming in weak. We've seen the data. I mean, they're expecting weakness in all of them. There's not a single thing I'm looking at where there's expected growth, expected weakness, or flatlining. Retail sales expected to come in worse than expected. Or last month. Well, what do we know? I mean, again, look at the TLT, look at the action in certain parts of the market, whether you're looking at bonds, Fed fund futures, talking about cutting rates. It's clear today. I mean, they're expecting cut rates in September. Unless something crazy happens, you might get a cut earlier than that. We know, I mean, again, as much as people, whether you like or dislike Trump, that's not the point. Him being shot at, pictures of him holding his thumb up or his hands up, fight, and it's just going to help build a case for more of his election. So again, as we've talked about, it's more than likely he will be elected based on what we know as of right now. And so again, how do we plan around that with certain trades? What sectors will lead, which will lag? Let's talk about it. So again, new to the channel, check out the Discord room. Also hit us up on Twitter. I have tons of posts here on what we're trading, what we're up to. Also, if you want to chat, take a second to hit the Zoom link through Calendly link. It's Dan Max Realty one-on-one. Hit me up. Let's chat. What can I do to help you? Where are you at? Looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate? Need help with trading? Need help with the markets? Need help with what to do? Holler at your friend here. Also, to check out the website, tradingagent.com. Great stuff on there. Recommended reading, all the videos, all the action, all the things that we have going on in here. Well worth it, I promise. And also, I appreciate any like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. If you find value in any of this content, that's the biggest gift you can give me. I appreciate it. Sharing, liking, hitting the notification bell so you get alerts. Because again, I did a live chat last week. Probably do a few more coming up. I think those are always my favorite. So we know going into, again, September, that's when the Fed first cut is supposed to come. And I've said this on record. Again, when the Fed start cutting, things aren't going to be good. They can only rationalize it right now if the economy falls off a cliff. Now is the market pricing that in? That's the question you have to ask. If it hasn't, then we've got issues. Bitcoin, we talked about this, stair-stepping down, back-testing trend line, almost close enough for government work. But here's the point. Again, like I said, like gold, all these names, they're all big trading ranges, in my opinion, until the Feds throw the liquidity bomb out there and just start cutting hard. So these are just basing, in my opinion. Could it go lower? Could it go higher? I mean, chop around. I mean, that's kind of your call. I personally told people just lay off of them or trade the zones and just day. I mean, people don't like hear day trade, but just trade quickly. Take your few points. It's the summer. Take your points. Bounce. So oil, as we've talked about, holding up pretty well. Hurricane stuff. It's going to be hard for the Feds to cut, right? Prices of things are going up based on the next CPI data, zero doubt, right? When oil, gas rise 20%, you do the math, right? I mean, natural gas, more than 20%, almost doubled. Now it's pulling back, which is good. Again, because we want to buy this stuff. I'm looking hopefully under 2 at some point. But we talked about the trade and the KLD. And again, we'll go into it a little deeper. So we know the dollar, right? We've talked about this, been the best turd in the toilet floating. But as the data's gotten weaker the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, it's starting to pull back. Now, again, near term, 200-day, crucial 100-day. I would even say it's not even really like end of the world until you break 2850s. Because it could just be a big consolidation chop pattern. TLT, talked about the 94 level going to be a problem. Well, it's the gap fill, it's the chop. Now again, expect that hard of a pullback in the TLT, but man, look at back tested trend line to perfection, bouncing. Now again, you got to get over this 95 area to really break out, right? VIX, pretty simple. Chopping around again. I mean, I don't know why anyone wouldn't take advantage of it by hedging positions down here. I mean, you've got basically free insurance. VIVIX, we talked about waking up early, always does. That wick is a little wicked, but seems to be fine. Now we know going into this week, it's also options expiration. So, and as I'm thinking about this, sorry, it just didn't pop in my head right off the start. It's in my notes, but VIX options expiration, some games. Remember, VIX action. Watch the video on it. Usually up one part of the week, down one part of the week, maybe chop as well. Again, goal is to kill the most amount of options and premium this week. SPY, long wick. On Friday, again, if you go look at the 10-minute, they liquidated the close. Worth watching this 561. Did someone know Trump was going to get shot? That's kind of wild if they did. QQQ, as we talked about that Thursday action, not so hot, but holding the 8 and 10 day, this is where it's crucial. Absolutely 1000% crucial, right? Like it has to hold the 8, 10 day. Then its next one is the 20 day. Again, we talked about how the Q started lagging, right? They've been leading. All things you got to be paying attention to. We talked about the IWM, the trash floats last, right? Big gap up. Then look at this wick, big volume. Now again, people are like, oh, it's breaking out, but it's like, no, we're nowhere near like all-time highs. Just be careful. This is either a bull trap, we're about to get flushed, or it's a breakout. But here's what makes it really easy and binary if you want to trade it, is whatever you do, define your risk. I mean, you're at an inflection point after a big consolidation for multiple months, right? I mean, you could even say it's been trading like this since the whole year. It needs a breakout about to go higher, and you can run with that, or it's a bull trap and it's coming right back down. If it is, I mean, either way, play it how you feel will best benefit you. Again, just define your risk. DIA, same kind of thing, potentially breaking out, long wick, worth a watch out Friday or watch on Monday. Again, this week, kind of, summer's always hard. Talk about that. Gold, kind of like Bitcoin, but on the upper side of its trading range, just chopping around. Silver, same kind of thing. Again, I like these names when they break out, but I'm not going to chase them. GDX has been holding up pretty well. Now, again, if these are leading, and this candle on Thursday was a little confusing. New high on Friday, but it closes right back at it. Again, I've always been on record, and this is what happens. If the market gets flushed, they throw the baby out with the bathwater. Miners who have the worst liquidity and balance sheets in the world potentially get crushed. Because again, they got to go to the market. They got to get penalized for paying high rates for liquidity. They've always gotten sold off. Now, again, they won't sell off after the Feds pivot, but that's what they typically do. Again, they're not immune. They're part of the indexes. AEM, we talked about this one holding up better than others. Like this name. Again, AG, which again, I like this name, but just had been lagging so hard. It held the 200-day. Not surprised. Newmont, we talked about this. If it's breaking out, continuation, trade it. So once you got over, I don't know, this 44 to 45 range, potentially could go. Now again, someone's going, oh, are you going to chase it here? No, it's okay. Again, if that's what you decided to trade and you thought was the best trade, then run it. No one's going to say you're wrong. The price action is confirming you're right. And I said this, I think, I don't know whether it was the other day or not. I'm sorry, it's saved. I mean, maybe it gets up into the mid 50s. I mean, I've been screaming for months, like, should be up near 70. If gold's at new all-time highs, what is Newmont doing down here? Like I said, first level breakouts, if you want to chase them, go ahead. If this is the first down, like the first start of the first big move, cool. There'll be multiple levels of playing this. And in my opinion, again, I like gold and silver. Y'all know that. I mean, it's not going to sugarcoat that. I love that stuff long term. I think, again, I don't know if I trust Bitcoin and crypto, but hey, it's all going to work in my opinion if it's meant to be. And they do all the same thing. Still, markets are still underserved. Here you go. PAAS again, breaking out. All right, Taiwan Semi earnings this week on Thursday. Chopping at the highs. Again, I don't know why anyone would want to buy this. Seems to be getting stuck at the 1.618. Keep it simple. Micron gap down on earnings, holding the 50-day, chopping around. Not much to say there. AMD, we talked about this one basing and then breaking out, getting up into this 180s level. Okay, we'll see. I mean, you could argue a lot of things here in formations. I don't like, if you're a bull, I don't like it being stuck. Let's look at this. Being stuck in this area for too long, right? You want it to go. And if not, it'll pull back. And when it does, it'll probably pull back to the 100-day. Could it reload later? Absolutely. But be careful. NVIDIA, endless upgrades last week. All the brokers trying to catch up. Again, 20-day is key. Again, I like the short on this thing. SMCI being joining the S&P 500. Also probably going to be due for a split. I would not be surprised to see this thing ripping back to at least 1,000 at some point. We've talked about this is kind of a stock that I really wouldn't be looking to short unless you had trade extremes. Either way, I've said I like this company, meaning I thought their earnings looked good. When I did in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, based on what I saw with the earnings, what they're doing, how things were looking, didn't seem that bad, right? Like they're not a monster market cap. And so again, if their earnings can continue to cook, this is a good consolidation pattern for what? The next big up move. Like that's my opinion on it, right? Like if this thing is, again, you can do valuation, also all that kind of crap. But when I look at it and go, I don't know anything about this company, the longer, if again, you hold high and tight up in this like big choppy range, it's good. Again, pretend like this is a monthly candle and there's like 1 or 2, 3 candles. Not 3, but like, I don't know, whatever. Pretend like this was any fucking chart, actually, excuse my language. High and tight, if you had longer time frames. High and tight is good. High and tight is good. Intel, we talked about this one basing forever. Didn't really like it, but then as soon as it started waking up, we saw some volume. You got over the 50-day, boom. Said maybe the 100-day, filling the gap. Again, high and tight is good for this company, especially if they're chopping around. SMH makes new highs, gives it back, watching the 8, 10-day, 20-day, all that stuff. Looks very similar. Adobe talked about liking the short at some point. We got up to these ranges. I'd really like to see a retest. If not, then you missed it. But again, we talked about this was an oversold, game over, gaps up on earnings. At some point, was looking for a short. I'm actually really impressed it got up to 580s, but is what it is. Apple, people are saying, is it too late to short this one? Or they're too early? It's tough. It's really tough. Again, I thought it would be done here, but then Thursday's action with tech, when they were rotating out of tech, again, the volume wasn't too heavy. So again, if you're getting into earnings, do you really want to get too involved in these names? As we're talking about short-term trading. Amazon, 200 level going into Prime Day. Meta, this one looks a little sick, right? Fake out, breakout, breaks the 20-day. Man, if you break this 50, 100-day, now next, I mean, you could come back to 453. I mean, I posted this one. I said, I like this one as a short. Look at the action. Looking to confirm it. CRM, as we talked about, popped, oversold, chopping around. Guggenheim, holding up pretty well. Google, got to give it credit where credit's due. But all right, 8, 10-day, 20 days next. I mean, you know the sequence. Microsoft, I mean, this one got kind of hit pretty hard. Left-right combo, 20-day, better hold. NDAQ, as we talked about this one. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm all in short on this name. I do like this short, absolutely. Because again, I think this exchange is the one that will get cooked when people stop trading tech and they jump back into commodities, because it's a whole different ball game. Once the Fed pivots, you're going to see it, in my opinion. I'm going to see this thing get murdered. MicroStrategy, again, it's just whether it's happening. That's what's so hard about timing. That's where you have your price levels. Give yourself patience. And if you're trading options, you got to be careful. MicroStrategy, split coming up, gapped up, chopping around. Again, Bitcoin holds up. It's really simple. It's going to hold up, and it could get back to the top of the range. Netflix, as we talked about, I don't know why anyone would want to buy this. And then it starts pulling back. They have earnings on Thursday. Be careful. It's pulling back going into it. This thing has been, in my opinion, again, it gapped down on its last earnings and then rose higher. Why? I have no clue. There it is. Just worth a watch. I don't trust them. Roblox, we talked about this one. Holding after gapping down, big volume price analysis, clearly a bottom, rallying back. Watch the 40 levels. PANW, again, we've talked about this, holding high and tight, not bearish. Again, I like this company long term. I want to wait for pullbacks in the markets before I really go long anything that I want to stuff in a portfolio and not look at. I mean, again, cybercrime. Plosy knows what's up. Tesla, as we talked about, the 100-day, the trade on that one was very clear. As we've talked about with Tesla, though, you got to be careful, right? We talked about this nice pop. Once it got over the 100-day, it was very clear. You had some upside. We talked about all the different spots. You run up to the range highs really, really quickly. As I've said, always be on red alert. Be thoughtful. You hit the upside target, multi-day range. You have the top, in my opinion, but intraday, I mean, again, you could make an argument for some intraday head and shoulders, some intraday bullish action. Again, I'd be very curious to see what happens on a retest up here. If it doesn't get it, then that says a lot too. Insight, again, we've talked about this company buying it on dips. Man, somebody comes in strong every time. I told you, man, I think this thing gets bought out. Zoom out. Again, I go back into the rants on previous videos. It's Man, strong stock in my opinion. McDonald's, we talked about this like bear trap at the bottom due to bounce. Okay, chopping around. Said the same thing about DKNG, the same exact formation, bear trap, right? Long wick makes a little low. Said don't be surprised if it bounces. There you go, little bounce. Again, it just shows you that doesn't necessarily mean that huge bounce, but you should expect a bounce. Airbnb, look at this, gives it all back. Weeks and weeks and weeks of consolidating. Boom, comes right back to 200-day. 200 days clearly crucial. Costco, the name's been leading. It's like tough to chase. Then boom, again, money rotates out. Worth a watch. Starbucks, this thing has been lagging forever. But we talked about, hey, when it hits the range lows, could it bounce? Yeah, there you be. Federal Express, again, I like the idea of shorting FedEx. Sorry, I didn't change it. At the highs, makes sense. Talked about the retest. There you go. I'd be watching this. I mean, it's very binary. Very binary. That's the kind of stuff you look for. Caterpillar, chopping around, right? Chopping around, big range. I mean, we've said this. Watch what I mean, I thought if you're going to wick, trap, come back. If we can get back up to the 100-day, that's what I'd be watching. But also going into earnings, you got to be careful. Nucor, speaking of earnings, has earnings on Monday. Looks like a little short squeeze. Going into earnings, be careful. X, as we talked about, hurting 35, 36 level. Not a surprise. I do think they get bought out at some point. VALE, here you go. Chopping around, base into lows. Arrow, copper. Again, we like small cap copper, I think, in time, or mid cap. So good. CCJ, again, we'll move through these quickly. Not much to say. I hate when Goldman upgrades the highs. Got some money rotation last week. Okay, we'll see what happens here. CF, ag names. Talked about them being oversold due to bounce. I mean, to me, they look very ripe to bounce. How much? I don't know. We talked about it. If you're already in them, great. If you're not, then just kind of watch. Just worth a watch, right? Know your levels. AA, we talked about this. We love aluminum. Okay, chopping around, you zoom out, you know what's up. XLF, surprised it bounced, but not really. But here you go. New highs going with the earnings. JP Morgan had earnings Friday, got sold. I mean, if Jamie Dimon's not buying the stock, why would you? It's crazy. Morgan Stanley has earnings on Tuesday, up near the highs, worth a watch. Bank of America, earnings on Tuesday, again before the open, all near the highs. They better be perfect. That's all I can say. You better hold, like their earnings better be absolutely money. Goldman, watch their earnings Monday morning. Again, getting high and tight. All right, Carrie, looking at this, we talked about this trap, right? Like once you could, back down to the lows, we started holding up. We said the IWM, talked about this on Thursday. If money's coming into it, I'd be watching for traps up here. We talked about it like, okay, don't be surprised then if we come back into this like 52 range. Because the 50 has been trouble, right? Look at what's start here. Like all the support and resistance starts in this 52 to 54 range. Now, could we break out? That's your choice if you want to chase it, want to play it. XBI, we talked about this one. It was an easy trade for up. We said once we got over this 94, 95, you had some up. Congratulations. XHB, sorry, the housing index. This is what got a little funky to me, right? Like, here you go. Breaks down, comes right back up. Man, this to me seems like an easy freaking short up here. 110, easy level. All right, solar names. Again, we talk about some of these names being oversold due to bounce. I mean, that's the thing. You watch the range. If the markets are holding up, it's not going to break down. Some of these names aren't going to break down. Same thing with solar, bounce, sedge. We talked about this being a piece of crap at 25, 26. Big gap. It kind of looks like with that Starbucks formation, right? Big gap down, big capitulation move. Now it's due to rise. People go, what price? And it's like, I don't know. Just know that it's probably due to bounce. If the market holds up, it'll hold up. Someone's asked about ENPH, near term, midterm. Again, solar's oversold. You're at the range lows. Your guess is good as mine. Range highs, get stuck. I don't know. It depends on really what happens this week, right? In the price action in the market. First Solar, again, a name that we said, be careful. If it drops 70, 80 points, shit, almost 90 points, hit some old support due to bounce, going to get stuck. I'd be watching the 20-day 240s. Corporate debt, again, you got to be high to your mind to buy this stuff. Back at the range highs, keep an eye on it. Oil, again, oversold. Bounces, hurricane stuff. Now it's overbought, chopping around. UNG, again, I hate the UNG. I like the KOLD short. We've talked about that. God, UNG, I don't even know why I talk about it. Here you go. Watching. XOP, again, I'd be on red alert. You know, if Trump looks like he's going to be winning and doing well, and this is a benefit again, whether you believe in, you know, what happened, what you get over the details, but look at the reaction. Like, this is going to help Trump poll better. I'm telling you, if oil and gas names start pumping on that, don't be surprised, because then it shows you like, hey, he's going to be helping oil and gas. It's just the nature of the beast. Like, get mad at me for saying it or what, but that's the truth. CVE, big choppy range, watching the 20s. Valero, we talked about these gasoline names being pounded down, 200-day. MPC, pounded down. Okay, now do they bounce? That's the question you have to ask, and it would make sense potentially, right? Red alert, red alert, red alert in your mind. Trump, 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 oil, and gas. Solar, not so hot. ExxonMobil, here you go, chopping around, big choppy ranges. Occidental, you had Halliburton on Friday, has earnings worth watching. We talked about Oxy being in big chop range. EQT, big chop range. Again, we like these companies, right? Big chop range, big chop range. And then last but not least, I think we'll be natural gas exporters, right? Here you go, big choppy range. Again, if you're new to the channel, want some help, reach out. If you've been around, I appreciate all the guys posting in the Discord room. You guys are freaking amazing. Again, it's the goal is to have multiple eyes who have knowledge of the game, watching the markets, helping each other out. Because again, in the summer, if you go on vacation, you're not around, it's understandable. So if you have any questions, want to reach out, holler at your boy. Always here to help. Have a great one. See you next week. Peace.